have you here.
All right, thanks a lot,
It's
man.
not your first time in Poland, right?
No, I've been to Warsaw twice. Never been to Lodz.
Lodge, okay. But you've been solo to Warsaw or with Gangstar?
Yeah, we're on our the owners tour.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Now, I guess there's people out there that might have heard of Gangstar but don't know the origins and everything. Tell me, go through the timeline of how you met with Guru, who was back at the time not Guru but Keithy E, right?
Yeah.
And just the whole history.
I mean, basically, Gangstar was already an established group back in 1986 as far as making professional records.
Right.
They were signed to Wild Pitch Records. There used to be three members of the group. It was Guru, Keithy E the Guru, and then there was Dame Odisky.
Dame Odisky,
yeah,
okay.
Dame Odisky. And then there was a DJ, Wanna Be Down, whose brother, his name was Gangstar T. His brother is where they got the name Gangstar from.
Okay.
All right, so, but it didn't. It was just Gangstar. Guru added another R to it.
Okay.
And he told T, hey, we want to call the group Gangstar, and he was like, no problem, go ahead, use the name. So the original Gangstar members at that time were Big Suge and Guru,
Right.
who's also of Gangstar Foundation. So
Right.
Big Suge went to jail, did a little bid. So while he was in jail, it became Damo and Guru and Wanna Be Down. Guru moved to New York to start, getting the group off the ground, but the other members never wanted to travel to New York to pay their dues. They would only show up when it was like shows or things that involved money.
Right,
Guru
okay.
got frustrated with that and felt like if we're going to be a group, y'all got to come to New York too. But
Right.
they're all originally from Boston. I'm originally from Texas. So
Where in Texas?
Houston.
Houston.
Yeah.
Okay.
So at the time, I was going to college, and I met my friends. We put together a rap group called MCs in Control. It was me, my man Top Ski, my man Sugar Pop, and this cat named Styly T. We were together, and I used to work at a record store, and the guy that used to buy the 12 inches was a good friend of mine named Carlos Garza. And Carlos, we used to report, at that time hip-hop was all independent.
Right.
So he used to report to one of the records that he liked, which was a Gangstar record, and he used to call the owner directly, Stu Fine.
Okay.
He said, man, I know this DJ who's really nice, that's ill from out here in Texas. And he was like, really? He said, send me a demo of him.
Okay.
So he sent him a copy of my demo without me wanting him to send it, because
Okay.
I wasn't really trying to be a professional artist at that time. I just did it as a hobby.
Right.
Because, I DJ'd all the local parties at school and everything.
Okay,
So
okay.
I was known for that, and I used to make all the mixtapes for everybody in the neighborhoods. Everybody had my mixtapes. They used to sell them for $5 a cassette.
Okay.
And when they heard my demo, my grandfather lived in Brooklyn, so I used to go to New York all the time and stay with him and my mother, because she's from Baltimore, so that's close.
Okay.
And so since we used to go to New York so often, once I met my friends, Gordon, who's actually my label manager now, his name is Gordon Franklin. I ended up moving in with his family because he was more my age, and we got
Okay.
to hang out. Right. And he said, why don't you move to New York and see if you could try to get a deal? But I was going to get a deal with my group, not with Gangstar. So,
Right.
So long story short,
What was the name of your group again?
MCs in Control.
MCs in Control.
Then we changed it to the ICP, which was
Okay.
Inner Circle Posse.
Okay.
But then we saw there was a Jamaican group who had that same name, so we were like,
yeah.
so we just called it ICP for short. But what happened was, Guru was pretty much now Gangstar by himself. He kicked out the other members of the group and said, if you're not gonna come up here to New York to help me struggle and try to get a better deal, I'm just gonna run with the name.
Right.
Me, Stu Fine heard my demo and was like, man, I really like you. He said, would you like to come up here and maybe do some work with Gangstar? I said, yeah, I'd like to do some work, but I said, I'd like to get a deal with my group.
Okay.
And he was like, well, we don't really like your MCs, but we like you. And I was like, then I can't do a deal with them. But they were that interested. He said, I said, if anything ever changes, will you keep me in mind? He said, sure, we'll keep you in mind. So I said, okay.
Right.
So my lead rapper, Top Ski, was living with us in Brooklyn as well. and he got fed up with how long it took to wait to try to get another deal. We used to go see Marley Marl and give him demo tapes, and went to Profile Records. They sent us a letter back saying no, we don't like the demo. So he just got so frustrated. He was like, man, I'm going to go into the military. And I thought he was just exaggerating. And then I remember I was there when probably like about 2 weeks later, the recruiting officer came to Gordon's house, rang the bell, and he said, "Yo, we're looking for Theodore Campbell." And I was like, "For what?" He said, "He joined the Navy, and today he's leaving." And I was like, "For real?" And I go down in the basement. I'm like, "Yo, dude, the recruiting officer's here." He had all his bags packed, and he said, "Yeah, I'm out of here." And I was like, "For how long?" He said, "For 4 years."
Oh, wow.
Okay. I was like, "Well, I'm not going to wait 4 years for you to come back, and you just leave me here." So now I'm by myself. So I called Wild Pitch back and said, "Hey, I'm by myself. Do you still want me?" And he was like, "Yeah." So me and Guru got together. I went back to college. I sent him a beat, a cassette of some beats.
Okay.
And because there was no emails and stuff.
Right. So you was already making beats back then?
It's kinda. I wasn't really good. Okay. I was okay.
Okay.
Just enough to get by. Again, it was more of a hobby style.
Right.
To now make records with somebody who he's already put records out. So he already had out two 12-inches, so two 12-inch singles. So the first beat I ever sent him was the track "The Words I Manifest."
Okay.
Yeah, I sent him that track, and from there we went to the studio. I flew back to New York, recorded the record, and then all of a sudden they called me and said, "Yo, everybody's playing it. Marley Marl's playing it. Red Alert's playing it.
Wow, okay.
Awesome Two's playing it. Hank Love and DNA, they're playing it." And I was like, "Really?" So now we had a record being cut up on the mix show in New York, which is hard at that time. It was very hard to break into New York. So
that was a dream coming true.
Yeah. So from there, I signed the contract. I signed as a producer, even though I figured I wasn't officially in Gangstar, being that I wasn't an original member.
Okay.
But we ended up cutting an album in like 2 weeks, which was No More Mr. Nice Guy.
Right.
A lot of the production at that time was really done by me and the engineer Slomo Sonnenfeld. He was the engineer at the studio Such a Sound where we used to record.
Okay.
So we'd all hit the buttons together. Like he'd be like, "This is the pad, and I'd hit something. He might hit a hi-hat, So together, it still was my beats, but it was all done together. Even Guru would hit that. And
okay, so this really was a
group effort, yeah.
Okay.
The next album is when I said, I want to show that I can really do this on my own.
Right.
So I really started working on beats a little more, and then I just started to develop a sound that was different from everybody else's, and that's when Step in the Arena really, to me, was the first album to showcase my production talent.
Okay, right.
And that's pretty much how, in a nutshell, how I got in.
Okay.